Hi team, Richard Greer here, CP coach. We're here for another episode from the CP media team. And alongside me tonight, I've got Kim Vargo. Kim was using her strength, elbowing everyone else out of the way tonight to get to the front desk to make sure she could co-host this tonight. And why is that, Kim? What's the reason for that?
Oh, it's every day you get to speak to an Olympian. So, but no, I just thought it'd be a really cool opportunity to pick Tom's brain. What an exciting guest. Whew.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously someone that specializes in lifting and throwing heavy stuff too. That's right up your alley, eh?
I pretty much feel like we're on the bestie status, even though I just met him about 5 seconds ago. But he lifts heavy stuff. Yeah.
Oh, good. How good. And how are you getting on? What's the latest from you at the moment? What's been happening in your world?
Yeah, really good, thank you. Just came back from an epic adventure down in Stewart Island.
Yeah, you
so
did.
It's about 30 hours down there. That was literally fly in, fly out. Such a cool place to go. Just so much different terrain. Jake saw kiwi. Lucky him.
Oh,
I see kiwi every day because I'm married to one. But yeah, it was just awesome. Just got a little bit of tramping in and just some time away because we don't really get a Christmas holiday, so it was nice to just kind of get out and explore New Zealand.
Yeah, how good. That's good. That's good doing some exploring our backcountry, especially Stewart Island. It's still a place that I haven't been yet, so you've done well.
Definitely, you need to put it on your bucket list, and it could be something to think about for some squad work down.
Yes, exactly. And speaking of our Team CP squad, we're fully booked for that, which is pretty awesome. That's starting 1st of May. We've got 3 trips that we're going to do: Arthur's Pass, Lewis Pass, and up to the top of Mount Somers over the winter months, which will be pretty cool. And also, speaking of winter, our group sessions are going to swap around as well with our sort of Zwift program, and our run and cycle groups kind of changing locations a little bit as well. So keep your eye out for those things. That's as of next week, which will be pretty cool. And our podcast is going to turn up to be on a Wednesday going forward as well. So keep an eye out for that as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to challenging you in some Zwift.
Yes, yeah, we haven't seen you on a group Zwift session so far, Kim. So we'll look forward to that. Should be good.
Yeah, I'm going to add that to a calendar. Definitely.
do it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So a bit of an intro on Tom. So Tom, basically we're going to kick off the show with Tom. He's one of the New Zealand's most successful field athletes, basically, having won Olympic bronze medals in both Tokyo 2020 and then Rio 2016. We're going to have a bit of a chat to Tom about performing under pressure, so how he trains, how he does it, and how he continues to basically push the boundaries of elite men's shot put, and obviously his own performance as well, and how he keeps doing that. We're also going to have a chat to Ben Jordan, Team CP athlete, who we both actually work quite closely with in regards to how his training's going, how he incorporates his strength training into his training, and how he's tracking. And then we're going to have a bit of a chat to finish up the show, Kim, just speaking strength and the latest kind of thinking that's in the front of your mind. But before we jump into Tom, who's tonight's show brought to you by?
It's brought to you by, again, Faster, which is one of our kind of partners for strength and conditioning, kind of pretty much all the gear that you could imagine. And so they're bringing us the Team CP strength portion.
And why are they so good? What, because you sort of did a bit of research around and we've partnered with them.
Yeah, durability of product. Like I use a lot of their barbells in my gym. They last a long time. The customer service is sensational, and they're international. So Ben's been able to get some stuff from them in Australia. They're in the UK. They're all over New Zealand. And they're just a really awesome company to work with. Just really friendly as well.
Good job. Well done. That's awesome. Nice work. Is Tom in the background? Let's see if Tom's back there. So
hello.
Hey.
Whereabouts are you coming from tonight, Tom? Whereabouts are you reporting live from?
Just Christchurch, New Zealand. I got back into the country about a week ago, so it's nice to be able to come straight back in, come home, and also live a life normal, which is a big thing for me with the amount of back and forth I usually do.
Absolutely. And how long are you here for before your next trip? What happens next?
I'm only here for about a month, and then head away at the start of May until getting ready for World Champs, which are in Eugene, Oregon, and then Commonwealth Games, which are in Birmingham. So it's a pretty kind of quick turnaround here in New Zealand.
Yeah, good, but quite an exciting sort of year ahead that you've got with Commonwealth Games. Is that the end of the season for you?
Yeah, that's pretty close to the end of the season, and it's a lot like a lot of sports is, because of COVID, there's been about 4 years worth of events squished into 3 years, so it's a good window of time to be good. So fingers crossed. I'm going to both of them if I can get there in 23-meter shape, which is what I'll need to throw to win, especially World Champs. That's all I can ask for, and then I've just got to look after stuff on the day and a few days before mentally to make sure I don't lose it for myself.
Yeah, good job. So just first, congratulations on that recent bronze medal of the World Athletic Indoor Champs in Belgrade. Can you give us a bit of an overview of sort of how that went for you? How was that particular competition? How did that unfold?
Yeah, look, World Indoors is a different competition. Obviously, the track fits in like a basketball stadium usually, so it's a lot more condensed. It's a lot more fan friendly. You can watch all events on at once, and I really love them. It's indoor comps are always a bit of fun. And going through the comp, it was actually my first competition with my new coach that I've had on board now for about 4 or 5 months. So we've kind of figured each other out, I think, and kind of understand each other now. So it was good to have him there, and you always need someone in the background there helping you, and he's one of the number of guys that guys and girls that helped me. So the competition itself was good. It was nice to throw far again and feel like I was in the fight. But I just didn't quite put it together. That last 1% was just not quite there, and we're talking about milliseconds of timing, and the old cliche, don't try, because as soon as you try, it doesn't go that well.
Yeah. So yeah, and I mean, I guess that's just that mental skills state, as you talked about. Actually, just try not to lose it for yourself in the days and the day of sort of thing. Just to not think about it, just go and do what you're capable of doing.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that I've always thought is like, you sure as hell can't win it the week before, but you can sure as hell lose it by overtraining, wasting mental energy on things you don't need to waste mental energy on. And of course, you only learn these things by experience a lot of the time. And yes, for sure, some people fake their way into winning or getting a placing at their first big event. But a lot of the time, it takes experience to learn these things. And also, not to say that I don't think about those things and probably waste a little bit of energy, but I like to think that I catch myself before I go down rabbit holes I don't need to go down.
Yeah. And that just comes from years of experience, I guess, isn't it? You would have had that experience that have gone well and not so well to then know what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, and I think it's also pretty important about getting help from people in those fields that know what they're talking about. And you guys have had Quinny on before, John Quinn, who's a good man of mine. He's I've worked with Quinny for about 10 years, and I keep giving him a hard time about. You think you'd have me sorted by now, wouldn't you, Quinny? But it's a work in progress. A work in progress as always. But it's important to have not only the coach or the strength coach or the physio, massage therapist, but also for me now, the mental side of throwing is probably the most important part, because it's the part that at the last few days can really ruin it for you.
Yeah, nice work. Tell us about your experience at the World Juniors and how, speaking of mental sort of skills and things, how that's shaped your career and you as an athlete.
Yeah, you've obviously done your homework, so that's good. So that's probably when I met Quinny first after World Juniors. I went in there thinking I had a chance to get a medal. So that's under 20s, and so we went in there and warmed up really well, through far enough to get a medal in the warm-ups, and then literally could not remember what to do in the arena. And it was a complete mind blank. And that's because my expectations were way too high, and I didn't manage those expectations well. And I ended up throwing, 2 meters, 2.5 meters under what I could have thrown, which is a huge, huge drop.
Which arm do you throw? Did you change arms or something? Was that?
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad, but it was just, what do I do, kind of thing. And you hear people talking about that, but it was kind of one of those experiences. And of course, another guy from New Zealand managed to win, Jacko Gill, who some of you may have heard of. And so there was a few things there. One, I knew I was physically ready to throw for that distance, so I knew it wasn't my physical prep. So I thought, well, it's got to be my mental prep. So I've got to sort this out and get help from someone that can help me there. And the other one was I was extremely jealous of Jacko winning and everyone giving Jacko the praise. So that moment there was kind of the moment where I was 19, just about 20, and I thought, I've got to do a little bit more than just lift some weights and throw some shot. I've got to I've got to do the last kind of 5% stuff that makes the big difference. And that's kind of where Quinny and I's relationship started, and that was kind of a point in time where I went, well, I'm not going to let this young guy from Auckland have an easy run.
Yes, good. So that competitive nature obviously is really important, and really you just trying to figure out, okay, how do I actually perform? How do I actually do this for real when it really actually matters? Fantastic. So that also brings me to the Olympics, and 3 no throws in qualifying. And then you managed to get one turned over to actually qualify the final. Jeepers, you definitely makes for a good spectacle watching. How'd you go?
I had it under control the whole time, guys. Don't worry about it. No, it was really challenging because in throwing you kind of know when you're fouling, and I was like, I don't think I'm fouling. So anyway, so that was by the by. But what I kept on telling myself, after the first round, I was kind of like, whatever, I'll just make sure I get the next one passed. And over the qualifying distance, and then I got another red flag on the second throw. I was like, oh shit, what do I do here? And then I kind of went back and thought, well, look, you're really good at this. This is what you do for a job. You do this 365 days of the year. You know exactly what you need to do. What are the technical things? What's the cues that have been working for you and will work for you in this next throw? Go back to the process. And so, and also not just the process, but I had to keep reminding myself that you are bloody good at this job. This is what you do. You're one of the world's best, if not the best in the world. So you can do this. And of course, with that, I managed to get it across the line and get through to the final. But I think without that knowledge, and that's what I mean by catching myself. I think for sure, I still think about, the bad things that could happen or if you're good enough or not. But I think with help, I managed to catch myself before it does too much damage. And then with that process, obviously, it managed to work out all right.
Had you been in that position before, or was that a new position, like especially in a high level competition?
No, well, I've never been in an actual competition like that at that point, but we do a lot of training stuff that replicates that a little bit. So when you only got one throw and you got to throw over this distance, and so I know it's not exactly the same, but we had done some stuff similar to that. And that was something to kind of fall back on and kind of go, you know what, you 95% of the time you nail this in training. So you just got to do that.
Just back yourself that you can do it again. Yeah, fantastic. Let's just jump back a step. By all accounts, you're a pretty handy sports person in the early years, playing hockey, rugby, cricket, and also I heard that you're pretty useful at the high jump. Was that true?
High jump. I might have broken a few bars on my time, but I wouldn't say I was any good. I used to try and throw a little bit of discus as well. As discus and shot put are about the same, but no, high jump was never a forte of mine.
Right. So that is rumor. Okay, good to dispel
that one. I'm 135 kgs now, and so it's pretty tough to get that weight off the ground.
Tell us about sort of how you got into shot put and who were your key influences in the early years for you.
Yeah, I think as you just touched on, then I played a lot of different sports through school and even after school. I think it's really important for young kids to try and do as many different sports as they can for as long as they can, because when you start working or when you start going to university, it's a lot harder. So that was school. Through school, I played, as you said, rugby, cricket, hockey, and athletics. And my father was a shot putter, so that was kind of one of the reasons why I went towards throw and shot. But I was also just good at it. Right from word go, it made sense to me.
Cool.
But I didn't really commit to it until I was probably 21, to be completely honest. And I was still playing cricket at that stage and so forth. But I think without the support of my father coached me for the first 4 or 5 years when I was kind of doing it. And he, safe to say, me and my father are very much the same person. And so we clash like no tomorrow. But he taught me a lot of the hard work and putting the effort in and just the work ethic. And then also another man probably that came in just at the right time, just before I was just probably close to giving it up, was Ian Beard. And a lot of elite sports people have those people that come in at the right time. I think I was probably about 15 or 16 at that time, and he is a great. One of his things is there's no ego with Ian. He's said, look, I'll be here between 3 and 5, Monday to Friday. If you want to show up, you want to show up, and if you show up, he is the most supportive. And he always used to go, you say, oh, do you think I'll ever be able to throw 20 meters with a shot put? And he goes, tell me why you can't,
Brilliant.
And you go, well, and you don't have an answer. So, there was no limit to him, and he managed to build my confidence up around throwing shot put. And that's a great question when, as young athletes, or not even young athletes, but athletes of any age go, oh, I don't know if I can run a, 2.5 hour marathon. Well, tell me why you can't do that. Like, why not?
Yep.
Because a lot of the time there's not a reason. It's just something you've mentally put there. So he still is, but it was a big part of me learning to love throwing, but also made it so enjoyable and exciting.
Yeah, great. That's fantastic. And then from there, you've had a number of coaches, a number of, like you mentioned, your support network. It's taken like a number of people to sort of put you where you are and to be able to help support you and through that growth and development and into what you do today.
No, it's only been me. No. I'll take all the credit. No, look, you're quite right. It's been Quinny's obviously a big part of my team. He's been there the longest. But I've had a strength and conditioning coach who's been there almost as long as Quinny. He's incredibly knowledgeable. Angus Ross is his name, around power physiology. I think it's always important to have a great physio who understands what you're doing, because we all do different stuff and understands how I rotate and things like that. So and also my girlfriend has been supportive at every stage for the last 8 years or so. So she's a real star. She puts up with me when I'm in good moods and bad moods and indifferent. So no, I think it's really good to have people around you for when things go well, but also you need to have those people around you for when things go not quite well, not quite as good as what they could, because it's going to happen.
Yep. Yeah. 100%. Absolutely will. You've World Championships, Olympic, Commonwealth medals, etc. to your name. Tell us a performance that you're most proud of and why.
Yeah, I think I've got two performances that I'm probably most proud of, for kind of two different reasons. Probably when I won my first ever World Outdoor medal in 2017 in London. That was a pretty special moment. One, because my girlfriend, my parents, and Ian Beard, my first coach, were there to watch it. So that was pretty cool. But also the other reason was I tore my adductor 48 hours before the qualifying round. And for for a rotational sport, adductors are quite important. So in terms of the process we went through in that 48 hours, and my adductor was never going to get any better in that 48 hours. It was going to be what it was going to be. But I was extremely proud of how I didn't waste all my mental energy on worrying about it and worrying about if I could throw or not and so forth. And so being able to get through the qualifying stages, and I didn't even know if I was going to be able to throw, and come in there and throw one throw over the mark and get through to the final, and then just keep going and rolling the dice, was something pretty special for me, because I thought, look, I might only get one throw out there, so I better have a good old crack. And rather than worrying about the negative side, about what happens if I tear it more, or can we get more treatment? Can we get this treatment? Can we do this? Can we do that? Like, it was just like, nah, like, I can't make it any better. It's going to be what it's going to be. I'm going to roll the dice. So that was pretty special, with the pressure of that on me going into the final, and then being able to celebrate with my family and friends was cool too. Awesome. But the second one was last year in Tokyo, and I was pretty open around wanting to going there and winning, because I knew I had the ability to do it. But also the amount of stress, like traveling last year, was just traveling around the world last year was incredibly tough. There was so many hoops you had to jump through all the time. And for example, when I first got to America, I was so stressed out, I started having vertigo symptoms and dizziness. And like just little things like, if I go and get something from a cafe, like, should I order it on the app and then wait in the car, or am I allowed to go in and pick it up and then get straight back out, or can I sit outside and eat it, or am I allowed to sit in there? Because I had to test negative for COVID all the time, and that extra layer was just a massive stress. And so from that, in terms of that amount of stress and learning how to deal with it through May, June, when the Olympics was the start of August, things, it could have been a lot worse, for sure. And again, the support from not only Quinny, but Dana, my girlfriend, and the rest of my support team around the use of words and how we talk to each other, got me back to where I started believing that I could win again. When prior to that, the competitions weren't going as well as what I wanted to, my expectation level went up. And then when I didn't meet my expectation, it kind of just snowballed to, all the stress and doubting myself and thinking I was over and done with it. So, that was a point in time where I didn't catch it. But with the support and help of other people, we started catching it and we started addressing it. And then by the time getting to the Olympics, mentally I was in an okay spot.
I'd imagine just like all that stuff, like I have to test for COVID all the time. There's just another layer, as you mentioned, but it's just uncontrollable, a lot of it, isn't it? It's just like I'm rolling the dice, even just by traveling for a start.
It is. But we, as a team, we decided that I needed to travel to be able to compete against the best guys, to therefore be in good enough shape to win. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So speaking of like your like your adductor that you're strained, etc. Recovery is obviously super important in regards to you as an elite athlete and the amount of training load that you do. What are your have you got one or two sort of key personal must-dos for recovery? How do you manage that so then you can train again and train more and push the boundaries?
Well, I think fueling the system is obviously the biggest one, right? You've got to eat well, you've got to sleep well. Obviously they're the must-dos, right? But I think the add-ons are, I do about half an hour of stretching every morning. That I work through different bits and pieces, whether they're tight or loose or whatever, and kind of go through those to make sure my body's not too banged up from the day before. But one thing we've just started doing is saunering about 4 or 5 days a week after throwing. After lifting especially, and I've noticed personally just a big difference in the DOMs from after lifting sessions, and has definitely allowed me to move better generally, walking around, but also probably get into higher quality work quicker the next day or the day after. So those 3 or 4 things are pretty big rocks for me. And there's so much stuff out there these days too. There's earthing mats to try drop your inflammation markers. There's Normatex, there's Game Readies, there's all these things. And I've given a lot of them a go because I think it's important to find what works for you. But heat works for me. Doing cold baths and so forth. I'm quite fascial, so cold baths just make me feel really tight. Where nice warm saunas make me feel a little looser and just feel much better the next day.
Yeah, fantastic, nice work. One key question I had when I was sort of putting this together is in comparison to other sports, shot put is pretty simple. It's the 7.2 kilo shot. You've got a bit of grass, you've got a circle, and then that's you. Compared to like a team sport athlete or lots of other sports, basically. How have you kept yourself motivated and keep training hard and pushing yourself over the course of your career? What motivates you?
Yeah, I think just like every sport, though, the further you get in it, the more complicated it gets, right? So obviously, I don't throw a 7.26 every day. I sometimes throw a 6K shot. Sometimes I throw an 8K shot. I throw every weight in between. For me, being really competitive, we have a lot of 2 or 3 throw comp at training, and where I'll give my training partners maybe handicaps so that I'll give you 2 meters and I'll give you 1.5 meters, and we'll have 2 or 3 throws at that. I think for me personally, it's always trying new things, trying to you're trying to find that elusive feeling, which is a perfect throw, which is so effortless and just you feel like you're at 50%, but it goes half a meter further, and yes, I laugh about look, I get paid to turn around in the circle and make loud noises, but look, it's just that feeling that I search for. It's like a drug, and when I get it, by God, it's a good feeling.
Yeah, how good. So really, to summarize that, it's about mastery. So you're trying to master that rather than necessarily the success of gold medals and world championships.
Yeah, and also master my technique, master my feeling. And I think we've all chased or thought we'd do it this way because someone runs this way and we think it's the best way. Well, it may be the best way for them, but it's not the best way for you. And so you've got to figure out, what is actually in their technique that you can use that fits you, and what's not, and figure that out. And that's always a moving challenge, right?
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of the world circuit and the other guys that you're competing against, you must get to know them reasonably well. What does shot putters do when they're not shot putting or throwing weights around the gym?
Well, yeah. So look, I'm a pretty small shot putter, to be honest. I'm 6 foot and 135 kgs. So So what I say is we always tend to bond over the local beer and the local food, or the whatever it is. So we always try and go out after a competition and just talk a little bit of smack and debrief the comp as a group, and things like that. So and we travel a lot together as well. We're always, a lot of the time we're going to the same comps after each other, so we're usually flying somewhat with each other, and so we get on pretty well generally. But those are the two things that we usually bond over.
Yeah, nice. It must be better than being a marathon runner. Like as you're having a beer and enjoying the local food, they're just doing some more Ks and some more Ks.
Well, they're doing their cool down run, which I see the number of Kenyans that are at track and field events that just, I feel like they're running for about 2 hours before their event and they're running for about 2 hours afterwards. And they but that's the sport, right? That's what they do, and they're bloody good at it.
Yeah, 100%. Toby, my nephew, is 10. He's into his athletics, and I messaged my brother earlier on today just to sort of, is there any questions that Toby wanted to ask? And he mentioned that his highlight of his year last year was when you gave him a high five, which actually overshadowed a couple of PBs that he did that day. So that was pretty awesome to hear.
Oh, that's good. Look, one thing I think as elite sports people, we are here to inspire young kids. I remember personally looking up to a number of cricket players and rugby players, and that is kind of part of our gig, to try and give a little bit back to the young kids around.
Yep, yeah, fantastic, Tom. And the last question for me before we sort of bring Kim in to sort of see if there's anything else that she wants to ask, or if there's anything else from the floor. This goes live on Facebook as well. In terms of all your knowledge of life and high-end competition, etc., if you could go back in time to meet your younger self, was there anything you'd say to them? Was there anything you'd like them to know, to wish that you knew or would have back then, to reflect?
Well, the thing is, I was a stubborn bugger, so I wouldn't have listened, But one thing that Ian Beard, my second coach after my father, always used to say was, more sleeps, Tom. More sleeps, which essentially just means it's just not quite your time. You keep doing the work, keep working away, and eventually it will come. And so, and I think it's really good that young athletes and anyone wants it now, but they've got to be prepared to wait for it. And that's the challenging part. But no 15-year-old wants to hear that.
No, that's tough, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it just takes time to develop as an athlete and learn all those things.
Indeed, yeah.
Tom, I've got a question. During your Olympic campaign, you had some extraordinary socks on. From our friend at Scotty Brown. Tell me about those socks and all the proceeds, and they're going in your charity of choice.
Yeah, so I was wearing Scotty Brown's Bike Emporium socks.
Yes.
I actually, there's a bit of a backstory to this, but and don't hold this against me, I bought an e-bike from them. Look, my girlfriend's a pretty keen mountain biker, and occasionally I go for bike rides with her, and I can't keep up unless I've got it on turbo. So anyway, I bought some socks. He gave me the socks, and I'd just been dropped by Nike. And so I thought, I'm not going to wear their socks. I'll wear Scotty Brown socks. And because of all the fouling problem, there was a lot of footage of the socks. And Scotty calls me the next day and goes, Tommy, I've got an idea. I reckon we can throw your signature on the front of them, and we'll get them made up, and we'll give all the proceeds to the dyslexia, or the charity of your choice. Which for me, I've got dyslexia, so it was the Dyslexia Foundation. So we've done a few of those now, and I'm not sure if there's many more left. I think there might be a handful left from Scotty Brown's Bike Emporium, but it's one of the things that is dear to my heart in terms of Dyslexia Foundation, and is a great cause to get behind.
Yeah,
that is awesome. And you were saying that your girlfriend does lots of mountain biking, and so slightly some endurance stuff. We're an endurance coaching program. Is there one endurance event that even remotely sparks your interest that you would be like, oh, why not? We'll just go sign up for the...
Yeah, my girlfriend thinks like when I'm done, I might do something like Richie McCaw, which is lose all this weight and do like coast to coast or things like our God Zone.
Yes.
But I don't know if I'll go that far to God Zone. But yeah, I'm not exactly sure. All I know now is being 135 kgs is not conducive to anything aerobic.
But there's always something out there that you could do. You'd be a wicked kayaker. Lots of power behind each one of those strokes.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. But I might be under the water though. That's the only problem.
Something downhill, I think. That's what we need to shoot for. Tom, quick question: Did you find a sponsor? The sponsor?
No. Still without a sponsor. It's which is a shame, but I think it's just the way the world is at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. I was hoping there was going to be something there. And where are you off to next, Tom? What's next for you?
Yeah, so just off in May to start doing the Diamond League circuit and some Northern Hemisphere comps to get ready for World Champs and Commonwealth Games in July and August. So around we go again.
Yeah, so good. Quick 5 to finish up. 5 quick questions. So to start off, what's your favorite event, Tom?
What's my favorite event to watch? Oh, look, the 100 meters is always a spectacle. With the egos and so forth that are in it. So it's always a pretty good watch. But also, and this will probably some of your crew might like this, is a good tactical 1500 is quite interesting too. Depending on the splits and so forth, and seeing if you need to have a kick at the end or whether they're just going hammer and tongs from where it goes. So that's always quite interesting. And of course, Nick has been in those races for the last 5 or 6 years that I've been around. So that's been pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, awesome.
I've got one for you. Since you like to taste the local beer, the local food, which is just excellent. What is your favorite dessert?
Oh, my kryptonite is ice cream. And so
right there.
Yeah. So there's a place in Athens, Georgia, in the States that sells cookies and ice cream in the middle, and so a cookie ice cream sandwich. But the crazy thing is they sell them per 20. Apart from you can buy one, but you buy them in 20s for all the frat houses and sorority houses. So you can buy 400 or 500, which is a crazy number.
Now, I'm from Georgia, and I need to go there. I need to go to that shop. Yep.
Indeed.
I'll get some freeze packed and sent back to New Zealand. That'd be amazing.
Fantastic. Tom, are you gonna shoot for a fancy meal or a home cooked meal? What are you gonna shoot for?
Home cooked meal. Home cooked meal for sure. I'm a man of where I grew up. I grew up on a farm, so Sunday roast, rolled lamb, leg of lamb, with roast veggies is hard to go past.
Good job.
Feeling kind of hungry. For some reason we keep talking about food here, but if you're out on an adventure, what is your snack of choice?
Out on an adventure, snack of choice. Nuts to some degree. I'm a big fan of nuts. Yeah, almonds, cashews, whatever's going.
Nice.
Yep. Fantastic. And in terms of training around the world, all the different places that you sort of visit, etc. Where's your favorite place? I guess training and competition. Where's your favorite place to say train or compete?
Yeah, favorite place to train is probably in Athens, Georgia, where we go back every year to. It's kind of our base, Northern Hemisphere base. It's the University of Georgia's there, and the facilities are just next level. Their sport budget is $150 million a year. So it's just they've got everything you could possibly need. And competition that I like the most is probably the one that's at the end of the year every year is Zagreb in Croatia, and it's a street comp. So we're actually just outside the Parliament building there, in front of some fountains. They close the road off, and they put us there, and we get 2,000 or 3,000 people along, and of course they look after us well afterwards, and they fill us up with a lamb on the spit and some good beer. So that's probably more it.
Fantastic. How good. How good. That's awesome. Hey, Tom, I really appreciate it. Thanks for your time this evening. Thanks for your insights. All the best for your training over the next couple of months. And we'll be cheering you on for back home as you go and fly the flag around the world.
Sweet. Yes. Thanks, guys, for having me on.
See you later.
Brilliant. Cheers, Tom.
Well, now I'm homesick. I'm totally homesick. We need to go to Georgia, a Team CP trip to my hometown, and eat ice cream.
Yeah, speaking my language, we were talking some ice cream. How good.
Oh, sure. And I've decided I am a hidden shot putter because I like to lift heavy things and I like to eat. Like, I've found my new role.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just thinking actually earlier that maybe we need a Team CP like Christmas party that involves the shot put.
Oh, totally. So I'm going to give you a handicap because I reckon I can throw it further than you can.
Yeah, you give me a meter or two. That's completely fine. As long as it's a 7.26 kilo shot. That's pretty heavy.
Yes. So he said he didn't lift it all the time. So I'm going to go with like the 6 or 5 option. And we'll just see how the performance goes from there. But not this right now, people. This is the next Team CP Christmas party is shot.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. And maybe you give me a meter, and I'll also go for the 3 kilo, the pink one as well. Might be useful too.
Well, and then I think the winner gets to eat ice cream that's been shouted by the rest of the team.
I think I've just started my new training plan to make sure that I win. Yeah, a little bit extra motivation there. Good, that's awesome.
There you go. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So moving on, next part of the show, we've got Ben Jordan, who's waiting in the wings. Ben is one of our fantastic athletes. He's based in Sydney, Australia, and we've been working with him together. How are you getting on tonight, Ben?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, Rich.
Yep, fantastic. And how's everything over in Sydney at the moment?
Sydney is very wet and windy. It's not what they sold me on the holiday brochure when we moved over here.
Yeah, how long have you been in Sydney for?
I've been in Sydney for 6 years now. Yeah, just coming on 6 years. So yeah, we're pretty settled.
Yeah, and you've been with Team CP for about a year now, working with myself and Kim. Tell us a bit about the training that you've been doing and what we've been doing together.
Yeah, so I first got in touch with you guys, I think it's like February or March, last year. And that was kind of off the back of me wanting to do coast to coast, longest day, kind of someone to train me for that. So since then it's just been like one big adventure, I suppose, of I suppose navigating COVID and all the cancelled build-up events around that, but still trying to get some consistency and some training. And also just going on a few adventures myself, getting some events done, and kind of an introduction to strength training as well, because I hadn't really ever done any before at all.
Yeah. And with that, in terms of sort of bringing Kim into the picture and working collectively with you, how have you found that strength training just in terms of your running and your riding and your paddling that you do?
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, I've never really done any before. I've kind of just always relied on like my CV. I've always been okay, kind of CV wise, and that's generally like got me through most things. I've been able to grin and bear it. But actually starting to integrate some strength stuff has, like, it's done a few things. I suppose one, it's kind of made me faster, and it's made me faster in certain sports. So if I do a reasonable amount of paddling, generally on a surf ski on the harbour, and I've really noticed that I can now like pull myself onto the waves a lot easier. So if there's a bit of swell coming, I can much easier like pull myself onto those waves, which means I can have more fun. I'm also much better at sprinting as well. So when we would do little races in our squads, like on a long-term race, I'd generally get there and be pretty much there. But at the start, I'd always like lag a little bit. But now I'm finding like I'm pretty quick off the mark and able to kind of be up there. With the rest with the guys at the front as well. So, and I think that is down to the strength training. Like cycling as well. Again, I've always been good, just being able to go. But again, kind of didn't really have those 5 second or those shorter kind of power numbers. And when I look at like the difference on my power graph between how it was and how it is now, I can see that my 5 second power, has gone way up. And again, I think that's down to the strength. And the running, I just feel like more stable on the trails. like, you know, they'll see rock and rocky, and you're going up all these rocks, but actually to be able to like pull yourself up there, because that's basically what you need to do on coaster, like pull yourself over the run.
Yep.
I've just found I can do that a lot easier. And I've got that stability, going up the hill and coming down it. And I suppose the biggest marker of all is I've not actually been injured. Like, so I haven't had an injury yet, like a proper injury. And I think that might be down to just having a bit more robustness, like in my muscles to support me. So yeah, like I've now got like a myriad of gym equipment. I barely had like a dumbbell. And now I'm like sponsored by Again Faster, but I'm not, but I may as well be. I've got plates, I've got a bar, skipping ropes, kettlebells, like just ordering a squat rack. So yeah, you kind of really get into it. And I'm not like a big gym bud kind of guy, but I'm actually really enjoying it. I suppose the sort before was something that I didn't really want to do, but now it's like kind of this essential that is just as important as the other stuff that I'm doing.
So if Tom's heading over to Sydney, you can call past Ben Jordan's gym and just sort of
yeah, absolutely, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think I've got enough weights. I don't think I've even got 135 kilos of plates.
Yeah, good. And in terms of being based in Sydney, how have you found the sort of process in regards to, I guess, working together, working with Kim? Obviously, he's a strength coach. It's a practical thing, and working together with myself.
Yeah, like I think everyone's now a Zoom expert. I mean, you know, for the last 2 years, you know, it's been Zoom at work, right? Most of the time. So I think it's quite the norm. So yeah, having Zoom catch up with Kim and yourself and phone calls, it's not been really any different the rest of my life. You know, outside my fiance and my dog, I've probably barely met many people over the last 2 years. We're just starting to integrate back in society now. So yeah, I've certainly felt like not like, oh, you know, I'm just giving that guy a call in New Zealand. It's, you know, I generally feel, I suppose, part of a community. And yeah, and in a few ways, really, I suppose, like with the catch-ups, you know, they're great, you know, regular catch-ups, but also kind of the broader team CP stuff, like, you know, the Zwift sessions were awesome. Like last winter, they really kind of got me through like lockdown in winter, and they've been really good. So yeah, I would say it's just been like the rest of my life, really. But yeah, it's not. I wouldn't have any. Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, cool. Tell us about you're a Brit. You've been in Aussie for 6 or 7 years. Obviously, a few adventures under your belt now. Sort of they're growing more and more as well. Have the Australian wildlife based in New Zealand sort of gets me a little bit. Some of the photos and stuff that you share. Have you got any sort of hey, maybe that wasn't something I'd tell my parents about sort of moment?
Yeah. So I mean, before I moved here, I was like, everything's going to kill me. This is going to be really scary. I'm never going to be able to go outside, basically. And it's really weird, like how quickly you become like immune to it or kind of used to stuff. So, I mean, in the last 6 months, I've had a couple of shark encounters. I've still got all my limbs. So, you know, I do most of my paddling in a surf ski in a club like on the harbour, which is amazing. Like, you're like, I'm paddling in Sydney Harbour. This is epic. I was out with some mates over lockdown. We're like, oh look, it's a dolphin. It's kind of normal for us to see dolphins, but it's still pretty cool to see a dolphin, right? And then we thought, oh, that dolphin, like it's a little bit of a shark. It's looking a bit sharky, you know, like dolphins kind of porpoise, whereas sharks, you know, sharks look like sharks, and we're like, oh, a bit sharky. The good news is that the three of us, me and my mate, were kind of at the front, and then we had a straggler, my other mate, behind us, and we're like, that's okay, like here go get James. The shark kind of circled around the back of us, and then ended up following us. So for some unknown reason to myself, I thought, well, I'll just turn around and I'll show him his boss, and I'll go straight at him. So I was paddling at him, and at that point he kind of turned to the side, and then went to ram the side of my ski, and I was like, oh goodness. And for some unknown reason, I then got my phone out and started to video this because I thought it would be cool. Everything for Instagram, right? And what it did, it came right to my ski and then did like a tail flip just right next to my ski and like gave me like a massive splash. And it's probably like a 2-meter bull shark. So yeah, that was pretty nuts. And then just recently, we've had terrible flooding in New South Wales, and it's made the trails quite wet. But I got myself out for a trail run. I wasn't worried about like the snakes or particularly the spiders. But what really got me were the leeches. I didn't kind of think about them until I was driving home. And then I'd stopped some traffic lights, so I looked at my leg and I was like, oh, something on my leg. And it started to move. And I was like, oh, that's a leech, isn't it? I'd never seen a leech, but I was like, that must be a leech. So I kind of wound down the window. I gave it a good yank off the leg. I don't know if you're supposed to do that or not. Thought I threw it out the window and I was like, oh, it's fine. God, phew, that's a story to tell. Ran out the window, started driving, hands on the old steering wheels. And then I see this leech that is on the end of my finger, like wiggling away. And I'm trying to drive through Sydney, like with this bloody leech, like on the finger, wiggling away, thinking, is this going to kill me? Like, what's going on here? Luckily, like Sydney traffic being what it is, I managed to stop again and just like made sure that time that I properly ejected the leech from the car. So a few little wildlife encounters. So yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, keeping you honest, fantastic.
Yeah, definitely.
No desire for that stuff, eh? New Zealand looks very, very awesome at the moment. Yeah. Ben, I'm just wondering, can I ask what now? Like, what are you going to be doing for your next adventures? What are you thinking of? What's sparking Ben's excitement levels besides leeches, sharks, non-animal related would be ideal?
I mean, yeah. I was supposed to coast in February this year, but COVID, right? Because I was an international athlete, so I couldn't come over. So to me, it is all about coast and coast for Feb 2022. That's kind of my main driver behind stuff. But like I've got there's a lot of build up events that I've got scheduled for that. I was due to do a trail run this Saturday, but that's just been canned because of the the wind and the rain. But I've got some cycling events coming up. So I've got a good cycling event, 130k Mudgee Classic coming up in May, which I'm super excited for. The winter's pretty mild over here, so actually we have quite a lot of events in winter. So I've got some really good trail runs, like both in the mountains, in the Blue Mountains, and also on the coast. There's a couple of good surf ski events, and some like more off-road kind of bikepacking stuff that I want to get around. So for me, I really want to get, and then come spring, I really want to get myself over to New Zealand. I think like Mission Mount Summers is something that's kind of really on my radar. And there's some good multi-sports events over in Australia I want to do. There's On a Mission, which sounds like a bit of a holiday, really. It's up in Queensland. You surf ski out to an island, you run around the island, you surf ski back, you cycle in the jungle. Like, for a Brit to say that out loud is a little bit nuts, really. So yeah, I'm super excited for that. And then there's an event down in Victoria called the Upper Murray Challenge, where you basically paddle, run, and mountain bike like upper mountains. So that should be cool. And then just build that all up to coast. After that, I don't know. I've got a few bucket list events that I want to do. There's something called the Hunt 1000, which is a off-road event from Melbourne to Canberra that basically kicked my ass last time. So I want to kind of go back and do that properly. And there's some epic events you guys have got over in New Zealand. So I'll just I'll see what happens, really.
It really sounds like it's just started. There's lots to get into, isn't it, over the next few years? Look out, Ben Jordan's coming.
Yeah. I'll just need to manage my fiance through this process.
Yeah, fantastic. That's so good, especially with her sort of getting leeches and stuff and helping you sort of figure that out. She sounds like she goes okay.
Yeah, no, I couldn't do what I'm able to do unless I had her support. So yeah, she really is fantastic. Like, gives me, allows me to live my life and do things that I'm passionate about, but kind of also have that time together. And I think she knows how important it is to me. So I think, having that support, is invaluable and also reassuring, and kind of, reaffirms why she is my fiance, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah, so good. That's awesome. Perfect, Ben. Hey, love your enthusiasm. It's awesome to work with you, and looking forward to catching up later on in the year and saying good day and doing a couple of adventures together. Be good.
Yeah, sounds awesome.
Brilliant. Well done. Take care. Thanks for your time.
Cheers, man.
Bye,
Cheers,
Ben.
guys.
See ya.
Good stuff, Kim.
That wildlife, it's a little bit terrifying, and then kind of exciting, and then oh my goodness, do you want to do that?
Yeah. That's right. Lovren's enthusiasm. He's definitely a great guy to work with, isn't he? And really cool just to see how much he's improved and really bought into, I guess, that network, isn't it? That's the sort of key thing that we're really trying to create. And it's probably off the back of sort of what Tom was saying with his mental skills coach and the nutritionist and the strength sort of specialist and things and his coach, and just people networking and working together to help him do what he does. That's really sort of emphasizing what Ben was talking about in terms of us working together to help him do. You're a specialist from a strength perspective, and I help sort of bring everything together and manage his sort of training load, etc. And then as a result of that, he's going pretty good.
He's awesome. You're right. It's that community of people around you that work synergistically. That's a big word, but for the athlete's best, in the athlete's best interest. And Ben is fantastic to work with because he takes on board everything that you say, suggests, and then he's also great at giving feedback as well. And I think that's the important thing. And I think Tom was saying that too. Like, he's now figured out his coach, and his coach has figured him out. And once you have that coach-athlete relationship, it just makes things so much easier, and you can both be on the same page and pursuing those same goals together.
Yeah, that's right. A big part of that training load is recovery, and often sometimes strength is seen as, oh heck, I'm going to be sore from that. I'm not going to be able to run or ride my bike or swim or paddle, or et cetera. That's something that you've been thinking a lot about lately in regards to recovery and that training load side of things. What are your sort of key, I guess, messages around training load, et cetera, for you at the moment?
Yeah, totally. And I think coming out of this COVID peak, especially in Christchurch, it's just been massive. A lot of people have gotten sick. And I think like CP has put out an awesome document about returning to sport and what it looks like to start training again after being sick. And I think the biggest thing that I'm passionate about is for people to realize that the harder that you've pushed yourself, the more you need to recover. And I think a lot of people just don't understand recovery. And what Tom said was just so good. Like, eating and sleeping, those are massive, and good hydration and the modalities. There's nothing wrong with a good massage and massage gun and other things, but the foundational elements of sleep, resting, recovery, good food are massive. And I think that as athletes, if we can't always reach our top performance on a day, we freak out and we're like, oh, I got to go harder. I got to go, I got to lift heavier and my reps just aren't where they should be. And so instead of kind of thinking about the why behind that, we push ourselves harder. And that can actually just end up being super detrimental to the whole bigger picture of the training idea. And I think there's just so much value in taking a step back, looking at what's going on in your programming, having a chat to your coach, your nutritionist, your strength coach, your team, and setting that idea of what recovery looks like for you. And, dial it back a bit. You coming back from a sickness or an injury, look at that picture. Do you need to work on some imbalances? That doesn't mean you go whole hog all the time. You dial it back, you lighten the load, you look at some mechanics that are going on and fix those things before you keep blowing yourself out.
That's right. And sort of myself over the last, just come back after COVID, after having the last couple of weeks of zero, nothingness, last night on our bike ride, and just dialing back the intensity or trying not to get too enthusiastic. But on a couple of little squirts there, the power numbers were just, oh my gosh, that's just crazy in terms of how low it is. But I mean, that's just part of it, isn't it? Actually taking your time, recovering well, and then sort of going again and not expecting to be at a certain level. I think one thing that I've been sort of thinking about around that and kind of that enforced time off just means that I think later on in the season, I think, and when I am sort of fully back into things, I'm going to be super motivated to go well. I don't know when the last time I had a proper break like that would have been. So it's quite cool to sort of have that and then to use that as a bit of a launching pad to build from in the future, sort of mentally being totally fizzing about the training side of things. So yeah, definitely listen to your body and have that rest and recovery, because it's not, your improvement is never sort of directly proportional to the amount of training you put in. You go up and down as that improvement continues. So yeah, playing that long game is important, isn't it?
Totally. And I think it can be quite a mental game as well. You know, like if an athlete is really used to doing, say, like a 16 kilo kettlebell swing, and all of a sudden they're back to like an 8 kilo or 12 kilo, they're still moving and they're still doing some reps out there, but they're just not overloading their system because there could be nursing injury or they could be sick. And I think sometimes it's really hard to swallow that pill of humility, you know, like taking that step back, looking after yourself, and that 16 kilo kettlebell or 20, you know, whatever it is, that will come back, and it will come back quickly because you're looking after yourself for the bigger picture. But if you start off too soon, too hard, you're just going to go backwards. And I think that there's a bit of a humility pill that all of us athletes need to swallow at times. And as I said, just dial it back, look at the big picture, and have that conversation with your team about that recovery time and the resting, and to set up for the success of the future.
And for me, really, like I mentioned, sort of the success of the future, it is all about that 7.2 kilo shot put in December, and that's will be a really good motivator to make sure that some good strength training happens from now on in, because the Kiwi rugby grounds might be a few dents in them going forward.
Well, I was thinking about that, and the divots could be extraordinary, but I'm going to be busting out that 16, the 12, all kind. No, yeah, it's on, definitely. For sure.
There we go. You heard it here first, just like that. I think we better go before I get myself in any more trouble. Thanks for your time, Kim. Just as a parting shot, sort of key learning, key highlight from tonight's show for you.
You know, I felt like if I'd written everything Tom said, I would have had a full page. But I absolutely loved the part where his coach said, well, why can't you? You know, like, oh, I can't do this. I can't throw this many meters. And he's like, well, why? Why can you not do that? And just changing that mental chat to yourself. It's not about the I can't. It's about the I can. And yes. I love that. I think that is just massive for people going forward. Don't tell me why you can't. Tell me why you can.
Yeah, that's right. And for me, it's that sort of mastery thing that he talked about. Like he's still into the shot, and that's something that motivates him. And obviously he's competitive, so how good I can be. But also underneath that is like just that feeling of I absolutely nailed it, sort of thing. And I think that's what a lot of us are about as well. Actually, is in terms of that flow, that feeling of movement, and all of a sudden just becomes easy. It's hard to get, but when you get that, that's so super motivating just to say that I really nailed it. I think that's pretty cool. And actually the other key point for me was also just that one throw. We've just got one time. We've got to make it now. And obviously having done that in training, and then actually to put it down when it really, really matters is pretty cool as well. And obviously he's had a few moments in his career that he's had to pull that out of the bag.
To be honest, if I have one more, like, he backs himself, and I think that is massive. You know, like his self-talk of "you're the best out here, you can do this. This is your job. This is what you get paid for." Just show up, and I think that sometimes some tall poppy syndrome will knock people down, but the self-belief and the backing of yourself, you put in the effort, you've trusted the process. Your coach is getting you to the start line. Just back yourself.
Yeah, that's right. And trusting the confidence in what you've done prior. That's a big part of that, to allow yourself to believe that too, isn't it?
Oh, massive. And I cannot just let go of the fact that you got to eat. How good is that? Like, it's all the time.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. What does he eat? He probably eats most things, I think, is the answer.
But
Keeps himself
definitely ice cream from Georgia.
Yeah.
I mean, you cannot get any better than that right there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, thanks for your time tonight, Kim. Thanks for helping hold the show together. Big thanks to, again, Faster, our show sponsors. They definitely look after us and look after our team. So if you're unsure or, hey, want a bit of help with, hey, what do I need? Just get in touch and we'll help you out with that. And any other parting words, Kim?
No, I think just look after yourself, people. Be gentle to yourself and back yourself.
Just like that. You heard it here first. Hey, thanks heaps, team. Look after yourself, and we'll look forward to catching up with you next week.
See ya.
Cheers.